Mr. Speaker, earlier this year, I traveled to every county in my district for one reason: to listen, to hear, to get the input and the concerns from farmers, ranchers, and producers across central Washington state. I traveled to Pateros, where my constituents discussed the vital need for strengthening market access and opening new sources for exporting across the globe. I visited with farmers from East Wenatchee and Douglas County who discussed the importance of commodity sourcing and stressed the need for stronger education for the public about farming and where the food that lands on our tables comes from. I heard from constituents in Prosser and Benton and Yakima counties who stressed the importance of agricultural research, from producers in Quincy who shared their personal stories of the impacts of crop insurance on their livelihoods, and from farmers in Othello who raised concerns regarding regulatory burdens on the agricultural community. Mr. Speaker, I am proud to rise today to say that this Farm Bill makes great strides in addressing these challenges that face America's farmers. The rule we bring before the House provides for further consideration of the underlying legislation, H.R. 2, the Agriculture and Nutrition Act, a bill that is critically important to my district in central Washington and to rural districts just like it across the country. As a farmer myself and as a former state agricultural director, I know how important that these farm policies are when it comes to our agricultural economy. This Farm Bill strengthens the farm safety net to help America's farmers and ranchers compete. After 5 years of depressed prices and a 52% drop in farm income, our farmers need us, they need Congress to reauthorize these important programs. Mr. Speaker, while American farmers have faced these depressed prices and severe drops in farm income, we luckily have a robust safety net in place. Due to the previous 2014 Farm Bill, our agriculture community was able to hold on and continue to provide American consumers with food in our grocery stores, in our schools, and in our food banks. It is incumbent upon us to ensure these policies continue. We must pass this Farm Bill and ensure a steady food supply will be on the shelves and in our markets for the years to come. The underlying legislation includes the creation of a new international market program, which I would argue is more important today than ever before. Programs within it, including the Market Access Program and the Foreign Market Development Program, are incredibly important to producers seeking to maintain and expand their export markets for U.S. agricultural products and commodities. The Market Access Program on its own is a net positive program for which every $1 spent, $28 are returned to the American economy. I know these critical trade and export resources are at the top of the minds of American farmers and producers across the country, and we must continue to ensure their availability and access for the agricultural industry. This bill also maintains and strengthens the nation's nutrition programs to assist those who struggle to put food on the table, while providing critical training to help people attain the skills necessary to gain well-paying jobs, financial self-sufficiency, and better futures for themselves and for their families. It supports the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, without any cuts in funding. Instead, this bill adds further funding and empowers states with the flexibility on how to best administer their respective programs. The state of Washington has done innovative work in their administration of the SNAP through the BFET and the RISE programs to help some of the most vulnerable populations. And I am pleased that this Farm Bill will allow these programs to continue, if the state so chooses. This legislation contains employment and education provisions for those who need a hand up due to falling on hard times. Mr. Speaker, the Farm Bill contains comprehensive approaches to farm policy, nutrition, trade, conservation, crop insurance, regulatory reform, rural development, animal health, specialty and organic crops, and provisions to help beginning farmers and ranchers. This rule provides for further consideration of amendments offered by our colleagues in the House on a great variety of these issues. I look forward to listening to the robust debate on potential provisions to strengthen this legislation. As this is the first farm bill I've had the opportunity to engage since being in Congress, I welcome input from my colleagues on both sides of the aisle and from every perspective. We must continue to bring forward solutions for America's farmers, ranchers, rural communities, and families. Mr. Speaker, this body, the People's House, is made up of many walks of life. We have physicians, we have attorneys, we have ordained ministers, we have engineers, school administrators, former state and local government officials, scientists, law enforcement officials. Today, I'm proud to come before you as a farmer. And I'm not the only one. There are maybe about 20 farmers, ranchers, and producers in the House, in the People's House. Among us are an almond farmer from Central California, a blueberry farmer from the state of Maine, a rancher from South Dakota, a cattleman from Kentucky, a rice farmer from Minnesota, and yes, a proud hops farmer from the Yakima Valley of the state of Washington. I'm privileged to come before you in support of this rule and the underlying legislation. H.R. 2, the Agriculture and Nutrition Act. I humbly urge my colleagues to support the rule, support the bill, and strengthen the future for America's farmers and all of those who depend on them. Thank you, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentlemen,